What's up, guys? Welcome back. In the last video, I believe we worked on the ability to open the store and close the store, if I'm not mistaken. So let's see. So come in here. Yep, open and then close it. And I think, yeah. So today we're going to start working on the inventory in the database stuff, so that way we can start implementing the buying and edit product and stuff like that. Okay, so I have my note open, my other project open on the other computer monitor, so we can speed this up. And let's start. Okay, we don't need to add comment yet. So here, let me go inside of the owner kiosk, and I think I want to make this a little shorter. Which one is it? Is it this? Yeah, let's make this about 7. Yeah, like that. Okay. One thing we going to do, let me lock this so that way I don't accidentally move it. Like this one too. Okay. So in the middle, or the one on the left, we can just, let me delete these two. And what we need to do, should this be fill? Yeah, let's make this fill. And then let's add a horizontal box. And wait, no, this needs to be a, wait, let me see. That's vertical, horizontal. Yeah, okay, so we already have one here. So this one don't need to be, this one don't need to be fill. And let's call this one header buttons. This is where all the buttons gonna live. And if we go, we can copy one of these buttons. All right, let's grab this one. And we can lock it again. And then here we can just paste this. And let's give it a default. Let's say H button underscore. Now, we should have named this instead. Yeah. Cell BTN. We need to name the size box like this. Okay. So this one is for sale. And then let's do this. Do that a few times. And let's select all of it. And let's put a padding to the left, about say 10. Except for the first one, we can just remove that. So we can say employee database inventory. And we can say settings. And I believe we had another one for the bank. But we can add this later if we need it. Okay, so we have all these buttons. Now inside of the vertical box, we need to add a widget switcher. Widget switcher like that. And this one needs to be filled. And padding to the top, let's give it 20. And we need a canvas panel. Boom. And inside of the canvas panel, let's add a text. And let's make it whatever that color is. Size the content, and let's call it sales. And let's do 18. Okay. So let me see. We have set 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we need 5 of these. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. So let's call this one sales container. Make sure it's a variable. This one is employee container. Also a variable database. Container. And then inventory container, like so. And last one is settings container. And we can change the text to match what they are. Settings. And this one is inventory. That way when we switch, we can see which one is which. Database. Employee. And then sales. Okay. So now let's go into back. We can add it on click for all of them. Sales button on click. We need to rename the buttons. 2, 3, and 4. Name this one to employee PTN. Jesus Christ. Scare the hell out of me. Database PTN. I don't know why people got this loud exhaust in their car. It's stupid to me. Inventory PTN and setting PTN. Okay. Everybody decided to make noise as soon as I start recording. Okay, so let's get sales container, and we can do set active. Oh no, we need the widget switch. We need to do set active widget index. So for the sales container, it's 0, and then it's only gonna be 1, 2, 3, and 4. So this one we can just collapse to a node and say button switches, or whatever you want to call it. Okay, and now if we hit play, we can test it out, make sure it's working. Hopefully it's working. Out of business. Yeah, there you go. But excuse me, because the button were disabled by default, So all of them are disabled. Is enabled. There you go. So if I go now, and then do it like this: sell, employee, database, inventory, and settings. Now you can add functionality to know, like, to make sure it turns green when you click it. You know, you can do that to make it look more pleasant so people know where they are. But for now, we're just gonna keep it like this. Okay. So we got all of this done. So now we can lock the header so that way we don't move it accidentally. Move it. So now the first thing we're gonna do after this is we're going to create a new folder called databases, right? And then let's create a new data table, and let's call this one of the item info. Okay, and we're gonna call this one clothing, right? Clothing. And then let's put gt underscore clothing. For now, we can just add let's add two things. Let's do 001, let's do 002, and for the class we can do health item for all of them, right? This is markup, and we can do health, put like that, and then buy price could be 200. This just acting as health. Okay, so this one will be, let's say, let's do jeans or jeans, whatever, and then buy would be 300. Item type, make sure you change the item type to clothes for both of them. Item type to clothes. Okay, so that way, when if you we're gonna create other ones for shoes, for whatever. So if somebody wants only sell shoes or clothes or a mixture of things, we can add a data table that have a mixture of shoes, clothes, t-shirt, or whatever, or just one that's specifically for shoes, specifically for jeans or whatever. So that way people can decide whether they want to sell shoes only or they want to sell like other things or a mixture of things. Okay, so now what we're going to do, since we already have the data table, let's go to the database section. Okay, so, and we need a uniform grid panel. Okay, let's call this one, we can delete the text for now. Let's call this one database grid. Make sure it's a variable, and then you know what, grab it first, and let's add a scroll box first and make the scroll box full size. Okay, and then on top of the scroll box we add that, and then make sure it's like this, align to the left, and then we have it like so. Let me look at my note. Okay, so before we do that, let's go to widget and let's create a new folder. Let's call this one button icons. We're not gonna add icon, but we're just calling it that. Let's add one in here. Let's call this one database icon. Okay, now I'm not going wait, what? Give me a second. Okay, I'm not going to waste my time and just do all the design and stuff. Okay, because I'm pretty sure you already know how to design the buttons or something. So we're just gonna make this one design on screen, or well, we can just leave it full screen. Alright, and paste this. So pretty much what I have is I have a size box, I add an overlay, and I have a button, and then on top of the button I add a vertical box, and then inside of the vertical box I add a name for the button, and I have another size box for the image with a height of 130. Okay, and then the image inside of the size box, and then for the button, there we go, I add a button, and then I also add a horizontal box that has two texts, one that says buy for, and then this one will be the price. Okay, so this is how it looks: size box, overlay, border, vertical box, name, and the size box for the image. That's what you see. This is like the item icons, and then we add the image inside of it, and then the buttons with the horizontal box to display this. Okay. So now if we go back to owner kiosk, which is the one that we see when we're trying to buy something. Okay. So let's go to the graph, and let me make sure this thing's still recording. Yes, indeed it is. Okay, so we're gonna create a new function, and we're going to call it create database inventory. Okay, we're gonna create database inventory. So let's call it right away before I forget. Create database inventory. Make sure we call it an event construct. Okay, let's add a comment construct. That way we know what it is, and let's change it to green. So as soon as we open this up, we know green means construct. Okay. So down here, first thing we're going to do, we need a few variables. So let's call this one row, and it's integer, and let's put it in the category of ints, and we need column, and column size, and give the column size a default of 5. So the first thing, matter of fact, let's go here, let's add these into a grid. So that way it's easier for us to find. First thing we're gonna do, let's set this to 0. We're gonna reset all of these. Set to 0. And then we wanna take the grid, which is this grid right here, the uniform grid panel. Okay, we're gonna clear the children, because if we don't do that, every time we open it, it's just gonna add more to it. Okay, so now we need a way to get the current business that we are inside, we are interacting with. We need to get its information, because remember in the other project, and the one that's working, if I come here, right, and then let's say I open this store, and then I purchase 2 things, and then I go here and I say 500 update, right, and then in the front you see I have it publish, right? But let's say, for example, I have this store, and then this is a different store. This is a shoe store, then this is the clothing store, right? Because we want them to have different things, and then we want them to sell different things, right? So this is why we need the current store we are interacting with, right? So let's say update publish 95, go in the front. See, it's selling, this one is selling lace. Okay. All right. So, and if I go to the other one, it should still be selling the what I had the first time. See, half items, and then the other one selling lace. So we need to get the current store that we're interacting with. Okay. So let me just grab this and duplicate this one now. So that way we can showcase what I'm talking about. Let's get this moving. Okay. So to do that, let's see, did I create, okay, yeah. Remember a long time ago, we create this function library. If you don't remember how to do this, you go to Blueprint function library, right? So open the function library, and what we're going to do, because we don't want to keep doing what I'm about to do, we don't want to keep doing it over and over. We need a way where we can access the business function anywhere or in any blueprints, right? So let's go here. So we're gonna create a new function, and we're gonna call it get underscore business. What we're gonna do, let's see, this is returning an actor. Okay, so we're gonna do get overlapping. Yay. Okay, let's add a actor first, actor, and let's call it character. Compile and save. We can do get overlapping actors, and we're looking for BP business. Okay, and we want to get one, because I mean there's no way you're gonna overlap with multiple businesses, but we just want to make sure we get the first one, and we're gonna say is valid, because it's always good to check. And if it is valid, we're gonna promote this to a variable. We call it business. I don't know why I'm promoting it to a variable, but it's okay. Business ref. And then we're gonna return it. Return. And also, let's say business ref, and we can get business info, and we can also pass this. So now, if I'm inside of here, let me click my thing, let's open this. Okay, because we want to know, the reason why we're doing this, because we want to know what type of business it is. If it's a grocery store, if it's a shopping or clothing store, something. But we need to find out. So we can say get businesses, right? Remember, we're getting it from the global function that we created. So we do something like this. Now it needs an actor, and if you remember, we got the reference here. Now we have access to the business. So to test this out, we can put string, and then we can test the business name to make sure it's working. So if I come here, write this, okay, and get this, open the door. So now that I click on this button, it should print the business, because this is a clothing store, okay? So what we're doing is, now we need to, from the business info, we need to check to see the business type. Right? Let's say, what is it? Business type. Okay, business type. And we can do a switch on the business type, because right now we're only working with the clothing store. So now we need to get, because we're doing the clothing store, we need to get the item inside of this data table. Okay, so what we can do is we can go to here, we can do get data table row names, because we want all the items. Remember, we call it DT clothing, right? So now this will return every single items inside of this data table, right? So now we need to do get data table row, because we want one specific row, or we want one single row. So we're still gonna get the DT clothing. This is returning every single one of them, and this one is, well, before I do that, we need to do for each loop. Okay, so for every single one of them, we need to get. So basically what we're doing is, for every single one of these, we want to get the class, the data, the name, description, icon. So this one is getting everything, and then we're saying for every single one of them, give us the data. So for all of this, for every single one of them, give us all this data. Okay, so that's what we're doing. So what we need to do when we receive every single one of them, we need to create a widget. So we can say create widget, and the widget that we are creating will be, guessed it, this one right here, database icon. So we can plug it up, database icon. And before we do that, let's go to database icon. We need to add two variables. We need the index, instant editable, and expose on spawn. And we also need the item info, because we need to know the information about the item that we are interacting with. Okay, so give me 1 second. Okay, so now if we go back to, okay, we can just double that. If we refresh this, right? If we refresh this, and we can just put the item info for the row that's returning, and then this one needs to be the index, because this is returning the index of every single item it finds inside of the data table, and then it's assigning the index to each of the card that they created, and then this is the info is returning. Okay, so what we can do here, we can grab the data table grid, and we can say add child to uniform grid, and we add this, and now it's asking for row and column. So if you remember, we have these, we can say add this here, column, and now we need to check. So we need to do a few checks. So first of all, we need to get the column, right? We need to increment this, increment the column, and now we're checking to see if the column is greater or equal to the column size. Make sure you give it a default value, and if it is, we're gonna reset the column, because we want to go to a new one, and then we want to increment the row, and we can say increment. Okay, so if we did everything right, Now we should have 2 buttons on our screens when we open the data table panel. There we go. We have 2 buttons. Yeah, the name is not working yet because we didn't set up anything. So if we go to this icon, let's wrap this with a size vertical box because we want to add, let this fill. And let's add a padding to the right of 5, bottom 5, like that. And if we get the name, make sure it's a variable. We can just item name, set text, like that. And then we can get item info, break it. What we need the name. And we can go do the same thing for the price. Let's make sure we add a padding to the left of about 10. The price, we can grab it. We can do set text. And let's do a format. And let's put a $sign. And then we can do price. And let's put the buy price because this is how much we have to buy it for. Okay, so now if we go to the front and let's go see if we're getting everything. Now let's go like this, open it up, data table, have jeans. Okay, so to showcase the index, let's click this. Let's give it a name, edit button. And it is very important to have the index because we need to know which item that we are going to update. Okay, so if we do print the index and then it should give us 0 and 1. The first item will be 0 and the second item will be 1. So if I click this, it says 0. If I click this, it says 1. So when we click them to open the little modal, this is how we're gonna differentiate which one is which with the item ID or the index, pretty much. So the index is like an identifier to know which one is which. Okay, so we're gonna stop the video here, and in the next one we're gonna start working on the buying the video part. The buying the item section. And then once we purchase the item, and then we're gonna add it to our inventory. And then once in our inventory, this is where we'll be able to edit the item and stuff like that. Okay, so thank you guys for watching, and I will see you in the next one.